13, I don't want these bells drowning out the Catholic Church's bells. Now, Henry was not Catholic, he was Presbyterian, and he built his very own Presbyterian church here in town, coming up on your right. This is Flagler's Memorial Presbyterian Church. Sadly, this is a memorial to Henry's daughter and granddaughter, who both passed away from complications of childbirth. Henry wanted this church built in their memory, and he had a special request. He wanted it completed before the one-year anniversary of his daughter's death. And it was. They did this place in only 361 days. And on that one-year anniversary, Henry moved his daughter's and granddaughter's remains into a single tomb inside that church. Then later on, he moved the remains of his first wife into a tomb inside that church. And then Henry, he was entombed there himself when he died in 1913. His church is open for tours today, free guided tours, or free unguided tours, self-guided. And if you get in there, personally, I think that is the prettiest building inside in this town. Don't tell the other building I said that, though. They get jealous. So why did Henry need that church? It's simple. He was spending 3 months of the year right across the street over here at Flagler College. Well, not at Flagler College, because this building was originally Henry's first hotel, the Hotel Ponce de Leon, a 535-room luxury guest resort opened in 1888. Every single guest room had its own fireplace and an electric light. That's right. This was only the second fully electric hotel in the entire United States. This building right here on your right was the electric generating station. The generators in there were designed, and the supervisor of their installation was none other than Mr. Thomas Edison himself. He designed the electrical system for Henry Flagler. You know, when he opened in 1888, there was a big problem with the electrical system. You know what it was? Henry's guests were afraid of electricity. It was new to them. They wouldn't touch their light switches. Henry had to go out and hire teenage boys from around town. He called those young men switchers. He paid them 75 cents a day just to turn on and off hotel room lights. 75 cents a day in 1888, when your average Pennsylvania coal miner was only making about 65 cents a day. This was a pretty good job if you could get it as a light switcher at Mr. Flagler's hotel.
There's a college. Yeah.
Oh, you see those curved windows right there? Those are Tiffany stained glass windows. Lewis Comfort Tiffany did most of the interior design here. They're covered on the outside these days by plexiglass so a rock from a lawnmower doesn't break them or anything. And the college has those Tiffany stained glass windows insured today for just short of $35 million. You know what they do behind those $35 million worth of windows every day? They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is the dining hall if you go to Flagler College. Very strict rules in there against food fights. I learned that when I took the tour of campus. College students, that's their side job. They give tours of their campus, and they show you this beautiful old building. And they said, oh yeah, they are so strict teaching us that you do not throw an apple yell food fight, because if you miss your target, it hits $35 million worth of stained glass. Bye-bye scholarship. Hello, Mommy and Daddy. I'm sorry I got kicked out of college, right? Check out these black chains on the right along the wall. Those are replicas of something the Spanish really did use called harbor chains. They put spiky chains like that deep under the water in the inlet. When enemy ships were approaching, they'd hoist them up just below the surface where they couldn't be seen so that it would rip holes in the bottom of the enemy's ships. 5 U.S. presidents stayed at this hotel over the years. Most recent was Lyndon Johnson in the first half of 1963 when he was still vice president. Roosevelt stayed here. Grover Cleveland stayed here. Yes, we did have a president named Grover. And right in front of the main entrance to the hotel, a handsome statue of Henry Flagler himself. Mr. Flagler was 53 years old when he posed for the making of that statue. And at 53 years old, Henry Flagler was already one of the wealthiest men in the United States. I am currently 55, and I am not one of the wealthiest men in the United States, and that's why I drive these trains on Saturdays, trying to catch up to Henry. So listen, Henry made a huge mistake when he built that hotel. You know what it was? He didn't include any fun. No indoor swimming pool, no tennis courts, no free Wi-Fi for his hotel guests. It was a 3-month winter resort, January, February, March. You were going to stay there for 3 months with nothing to do. You know how Henry took care of that problem? He built a second hotel right here, the Hotel Alcazar, and this was his fun hotel. This one was open all year round and had all of the fun that you could come use. It's now home to the Leitner Museum, a great museum of Mr. Leitner's collection. So you want to hear what fun Henry included at this hotel?
Yeah.
I'll tell you in one breath. Here we go. You ready? At this hotel, Henry had an indoor swimming pool, partly attractive room, tennis court, archery practice range, bicycle training academy, Turkish best, Swedish best saunas, a movie theater, silent movies only back then, but it was the largest movie theater in the world, and he had a bowling alley. If you were standing across the street of the boring hotel, you could walk across that street. He has the fun stuff here, absolutely free. But Henry never walked across the street. He had a secret tunnel connecting the two buildings because his brother sneaked over to meet his girlfriends. Told you it was his fun hotel, right? That swimming pool I told you about at this hotel, look at this curved section of the building right here. That's over the shallow end. Deep end, one whole block away on the other side of the building. Go through those mustard-colored doors and you can go in that swimming pool. But you got to be in there before 4:30. They lock those doors at 4:30. Don't worry if you didn't bring a bathing suit. They got lots of railings. Just throw your clothes over one and hover. No, wait, you'll get arrested for that. Instead, you can go to the cafe that's in the middle of the deep end because there is no water in the pool anymore. All right, I do have a teachery question to ask you since I am a teacher, right? What year was the automobile invented?
I don't know.
You're just like my sixth graders. You didn't study. I don't know what year the automobile was invented either. Sometime in the late 1800s. But when Henry opened these hotels, he didn't need parking lots. His guests were coming to town on the railroad. I'm going to let him go around. So instead of parking lots back here, you had the bicycle training academy, the tennis courts. Yes, they would teach you to ride a bicycle when you stayed here at Mr. Flagler's hotel in town. So folks, we are now in Lincolnville. Lincolnville, named in honor of President George Washington after... Wait a minute. Lincolnville, named in honor of President Abraham Lincoln. After he signed the Emancipation Proclamation giving freedom to all the slaves in the United States, Saint Augustine did something pretty cool. They realized those former slaves had no place to build their homes. And they realized those former slaves had no money. So they gave them all of this land on the south end of town and said, build your homes right here. We're not going to charge you a penny. Welcome back to Saint Augustine as free men. And they built this beautiful neighborhood. They named it Lincolnville, and it is now home to northern Florida's largest collection of Victorian-era homes. Check out the gray Victorian coming up on the right. That's actually not a house anymore, but imagine living in that when it was. What a beautiful old home. That house was originally built for one of the great-granddaughters of President Thomas Jefferson. It's now a restaurant called The Preserve. You want to see another historic older building? Look left. The historic fixer-upper of St. Augustine. Not gonna lie to you, that was for sale for almost 4 years. Their last asking price, I went on Zillow about 3 months before it sold. According to Zillow, they were asking $799,000 for a historic fixer-upper. Don't know what they got, but that's what they were asking. All right, you want a chance to redeem yourselves after having no idea what the answer to my question was before? I'll ask you another question. The answer to this one is shrimping. Around 1900, what was the biggest money-making industry in Florida?
Shrimping.
How'd you know that?
You
You're
just
so
said it.
smart. Yeah, the shrimp boats would come into St. Augustine. They'd be loaded up with shrimp. They needed to get ice for their shrimp as quickly as they could because around 1900, there were no electric refrigerators or freezers. But there were factories that knew how to make ice back then. They would dock their boats over here on the river on the west side of town. They would go to the nearest building they could find to buy ice, and that building is right ahead of us. You see the green stripe of paint up there? You see the yellow stripe of paint with white letters? Those letters spell out the words whiskey, rum, gin, and vodka. Those sailors would go into that building to buy ice. They'd start drinking heavily, forget all about their shrimp, and let it rot on their boats. And it would stink up the... Okay, that's not the truth. The truth is they came here to buy ice because look up top on the front. This was the city's ice plant, the ice factory for the whole town. You see a sign that says it's now home to the St. Augustine Distillery? They make whiskey, rum, gin, vodka, and bourbon, and they offer a free tasting tour. And yes, your children are welcome on that tour, but they only get to sample some lemonade that they have in there. We're going to make a left turn.